And so today is Tech Tuesday. We're going to go over some news. This is episode 54. And I'm very excited. We're just trucking along here. I got some great information. So let's start.
Yes, I love technology, but not as much as you see. But I still love technology.
This is a PI Advice Podcast.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, what's going on, guys? Tech Tuesday. I'm just going to shut down the music, rather. Look, I promised you we got an extra podcast in there before the back to back. There was something in between the Tech Tuesdays this week, which is nice. Excited about that. And we got some cool information this week. I'm going to go over some news first. There's some interesting things that came out on the wire. One of the things, Washington University students, I guess, they've developed a technique that it's like an age progression. I'm assuming software. They don't really get into too detailed of how they do it, but essentially they could take a picture and age it up to 80 years old, and they take into account, in the picture, they take into account the pose of the picture, the expression, the illumination of the photo, and then they age it. And I'll have a picture posted here in this video, and I'll have a picture posted in the show notes and the links to get to the original article on this. But they showed a picture of a child that had aged, and just basically a real picture of throughout the years. You get your school photos and throughout the years, and until a certain age, I can't remember what age it was. I have the picture here somewhere on my desktop here, and let's see if I can pull it up from my own view. Anyways, and then so they took that, and then they did the age progression. So it was up to age 16. So they took them from age 3, a picture. They aged it, so they're literally comparing actual photos versus the digital remake photos of what they think he would have looked like. And the photos are shocking. Like, this is incredibly accurate software that they've developed here. And I definitely take a look at it. Practical application, of course. Now, I'm sure there's stuff like this. I've got to believe there's age progression software already out there, right? But this stuff is very accurate. I was very impressed. Obviously, you can take, kids that have been kidnapped and stick this into an age progression thing, or even people that are criminals and have just disappeared. You can still take a photo of a prisoner and, age progress that photo to see what he might possibly look like, 10, 20 years later. They're hiding or whatever, and you could find them, with an advanced aging photo. Check it out. That's very cool. Keep an eye on that. I will see if anything else comes of that. Google just came out a couple days ago or a day ago, lets you go back in time with some Street View. So they have, Google Maps, right? Google Earth and all that kind of stuff, the Street View stuff they've been doing. When I thought they first were going to do that, they take, if you haven't used Street View, basically it's you can click on a portion of a map when you go to Google Maps, and it takes you down to street level view as if you were driving down the street, right? Well, I only thought they were going to do it once, and that was going to be that. Like, how much is going to actually change in a neighborhood, like streetwise, where they would need to go do it again. But they kept doing it. They kept, I've looked at my own home numerous times and seen that they've updated the photos. And gosh, this stupid thing. Anyways, and they continue to use those Google cars and drive around and map out these streets. Well, what they've done now is they're taking this this historical information, essentially anything that they've street mapped in the past, and they're allowing you to go back and see from 2007 all the way till now, in certain areas apparently of what the area used to look like. So I try to go do this myself. I went to their website and I saw, and it said if there's a certain marker up in the left hand corner, you can go and do the time lapse and see what the different photos in the area look like. But I couldn't find it. I mean, I even went to their example one. They wouldn't let me do it. So I don't know if this is mainstream yet, or maybe they pulled it. I'm not quite sure, but I'm sure they'll have it. It'll eventually be available for every street. Right now, it looks like they're only doing specific areas. I think they did the Freedom Tower area in New York, and apparently you can see it being built, through the timeline from the ground up, and also the reconstruction after 2011 from the earthquake and tsunami in Japan. That was one of the things that they were talking about. So what can this be used for? Well, I already use Google Maps as it is for preliminating my surveillance cases and mapping out just general things. I've also used it in the past, not always, but I have used it in the past when I've been stuck on things. Like vehicles, like I don't have a vehicle for somebody and I'm looking for anything that I could attach to them, right? Like what the color of the vehicle looks like, because that's some of the limitations that I have in my area. And I can go to the Street View thing and I can go to the residence, and it might not, I have gotten plate numbers in the past from it, but that just happened to not be blurred out, but you can see what vehicles were there. And, though you might not know when that picture was taken, it might give you some idea of what to look for at that residence or, and whatever. It depends on your investigation. So Street View, it's like one of the tools in the toolbox I'm always talking about. That's another one. And if they can get this historical thing going on, that's even better for me, because then I can go look back, if a guy, let's say, for instance, I don't know what he's driving, and maybe I go back 7 years when the Google Maps was, and I knew he lived at the specific residence. I might have a vehicle that he was driving or anybody was driving from that residence that I can kind of keep an eye out for. Who knows, maybe even pull a plate from. So keep that in mind for that. Nissan's apparently come out with something that's really kind of already been on the market, but they've kind of reinvented it. They call it the smart rearview mirror. And basically, the way they were selling it, and I'll put the video in the show notes, but basically they're saying, what if you got too many people in your back seat and you've got obstructions from your rearview mirror, you can't see out your back window, or you got balloons back there, heaven forbid. So how are you going to see back there? Well, what they did was they stuck a camera in the back of the car to make it appear as if you have a rear view mirror, like you're looking straight through your back window. And what they do is you can flip a switch on your rear view mirror and go from mirror mode to camera mode. And then you can see as if there's no obstructions in your back window. Basically taking existing technology with your backup cameras and you're just sticking it in the rear view mirror. I like the fact that they could turn it into a camera, basically, into your rearview mirror. So check that out. That's very cool. I'm sure that other companies, other vehicle makers will start copying that technology. It's kind of usually how it goes. But Nissan, that's going to be something they're going to try to sell, I'm sure. Private investigators, obviously, you're doing surveillance. Let's say some investigators. In fact, the first guy I ever did a ride along with, who ended up hiring me into this industry, he had, I think, black paper plus a black paper, and he even had some black lining. Basically, he could not see out his back windows, and I think his back sides too. Like the only thing he could see out of was his two front, his driver's side and his passenger side and his front window, and he would like peel back the paper or whatever when he wanted to. If he was sitting in the back seat, old school stuff. And anyways, but how nice that would have been if he could just look through his rearview mirror, because it wouldn't be an obstruction. Something to think about. So that's the news. That's the tech news, for today. But here's the two things. Actually, it's one and the same here. So, we're always talking about, everybody wants to know, like Andrew, they don't just ask me, they ask everybody, how do you get the time stamp to be on the video? How do you do it? Right. And I explain, which the video I've never put together yet. I'm sure I will by then, but then by then you guys won't need it, because JVC's come out with a couple cameras where apparently there's a mode in there where you can videotape and have the timestamp imprinted on the video. So no more going through the what is it, Pinnacle. No more going through what is AVS. I think is another way to do it. So no more having to do that now. Now, I haven't tested these cameras, and this information has come secondhand. But with that being said, I heard it from a reader probably about a year ago. They said, I bought a JVC camera for $350, or it was something like that back then. And he had said that there was a special mode. Now, he said, this is way back when, this is a year ago, he said that the JVC camera in this mode, you could not be in manual. It means, in other words, if if it was raining at your window, it might not focus properly, right? So, but he said, with that being said, no manual mode, he said it worked pretty good. Now, I've always been suspect of JVC's quality. They have not been known for quality, digital equipment, period. I haven't owned a JVC camera, but that's just been the word on the street, right? But I don't know. These things, the two cameras are going to be the JVC HD Evero. It's EVERIO. And then the model number, I guess, will be the GZ-E306BU. That's one of them. And that one was, mind you guys, go to the show notes. I'll put an Amazon link. It'll be an affiliate link. I'll put it in there. I'll put it in the Pride Investigator store, the link to the cameras. That one sells for $150. That's a great price, by the way. And then you have another JVC camera. The model number will be GZ-E200BUS. And that's going to be a 1080p camera. And they're selling that for $139. And so, again, I'll put this in the show notes. If it does what it says it does, that'll take a lot of work out of investigators' hands when they have to come home and they have to rewatch the video again just to get the timestamp on the video. Also, it'll increase the quality. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but when you go through Pinnacle, it takes a little bit of the quality away. It's a little grainier. Not horrible. I mean, it's still pretty good, but it's not the original video base. I mean, that's probably not the right way to say it. It's not the original quality. That's probably a better way of putting it. So again, I haven't tested it yet. So buyer beware. If for some random reason it doesn't do what I said, I'm sorry. You'll have a backup camera. I want to test this out. And again, I've heard from reliable sources that this works. So definitely something to check out. Hopefully I can buy one of these soon and be able to test it for myself, and heck, maybe even switch to it. Oh, and also, I did a review. I did a review on my Sony camera way back when. I don't know, probably 6 months ago. Now I think I said I bought it for $250. It's been a while now. My camera model is the Sony HDR-CX220. This camera's selling. I just saw it at Walmart the other day, which really upset me because they were selling it for $150. And again, I paid $250 for it, and I think I even said in my video review of this that I think I paid too much based off what I got. So if you can pick this up for $150 at Walmart, that's a pretty good price. I don't know if you'll get it much lower than that. Maybe you'll get it for, maybe down the road, maybe like $120, but I don't think they'll drop below that. And that's going to be it for Tech Tuesday. When I talk about this technology stuff, guys, and I do like the news podcast where I discuss news about private investigators and whatnot. The news is interesting stuff, but one of the main things I want you to take from this stuff is the lessons, and I guess it doesn't really apply to the tech news, but the private investigator news. It's the lessons, because typically, most stuff that I end up seeing in the news about private investigators isn't always good. And there's always a reason for it, right? Like they've done something they shouldn't have done, and it ends up getting them in trouble. And so there's always lessons to learn from these podcasts. Not necessarily just the news, but like, don't do what that guy did. Don't, this like they always end up doing something like they think they're doing the right thing by their customer, but they're doing something illegal, and it's just not worth it. But then again, there are some great stories of investigators that do the right thing. And again, there's other lessons to take from that. And so that's hopefully what you guys get from that stuff. And then, of course, there's just the stuff I just talk about, and hopefully you enjoy that as well. So I'm out of here. I'm going to type this up and make the video and post the podcast, and it'll be Tuesday. So you guys should have 4 weekdays left to go through and hopefully get to the weekend. And meanwhile, I'm going to be putting together another post for Private Investigators on some job stuff. We need to focus on that. Get you guys into some jobs, and that'll do it. I've dragged it on long enough.
Yes, I love technology, but not as much as you think. But I still love technology, always and forever.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, boy.